Okay, and going live right on the money. There's that perfect lighting. Well, it's nearly perfect. Let me turn off the music in the background. Hey, we have a couple people here already in the chat. Come on in and introduce yourself. We're going to have a great afternoon. I've already got some topics to talk about here. Let's see, I closed the text editor. Hey, hello there, Marks. So you want to be the co-host here today? Are you ready for that title? Okay. So how's the audio? Let's do an audio check, because I did a big update on the system here this morning since it hadn't been rebooted in 3 weeks. I did a reboot. That's good. I figured it would be. I tested it. So today is cap and gown day. I'm wearing my college graduation gown. Yeah, so there's somebody else out there with us. Come on in, introduce yourself in the chat. Let's see, where did the pop out go? I'm going to close this. That's right. Yeah, and there was also a new video driver with security updates. So I went ahead and did the update this morning, hoping that it wouldn't bother the system here for the live stream. There we go. I got the beverage going. Okay, so while we're waiting for some people to show up, I had a couple beginner topics here. You know, I was thinking earlier today that if I started a user group here in Kingsport, it would be Kilo Uniform Golf, KUG, CUG. So I could have that printed on a coffee mug. Get it? CUG, KUG, Kingsport User Group. Maybe that's what Linux really needs to do to increase in engagement, because the people on Discord today said that the number of new people joining had dropped back to pre-end of life Windows 10. Okay, Kingsport Linux user group. Okay, CLUG, COG, Crumley Cogwheels. But what the Discord administrators were saying today, that they had a surge of people when Windows 10 End of Life was announced, but that surge had tapered back to Windows End of Life. In other words, people joining in the Linux Mint Discord. I'll tell you, Discord was a hoot this morning, let me tell you. The Eastern Europeans were shaking it up in there. So what I wanted to mention was Discord and Instagram are the best video chat platforms out there. I've tried several different ones. And like I said, what I discovered, when you're on Facebook, it will turn the volume down. And if you accidentally say something loudly, it will cut your volume down. It will go in and actually manage the volume in your operating system. And I said, well, this isn't any good. I don't want any software to change the setting, okay, of the volume in my system. Okay, my microphone volume off the webcam or any other cam or volume. So it turned out, Marks, that was the culprit. Okay. well, like I said, there was a slight increase in users joining the Discord for Linux Mint when Windows 10 end of life was announced, but now that surge has gone back down to pre end of life levels. So I wanted to mention Instagram is one of the best video chat platforms, and Discord is a good number 2. Okay. And I should have a better transmission today because my upload speed is now double what it used to be. So actually, if I wanted to, I could almost upload an 8K video signal, but I'm not going to try to do that. I don't have an 8K camera. 4 is the most I've got. Okay, so I'm hoping some other people are going to pop in here because I know on that late Sunday night one at 9 p.m. Hey, I have to stay hydrated. I know on that 9 p.m. one, a lot of people said that they got the notice, but it was too late. And that was an impromptu, although I'm thinking about doing a 9 p.m. this Sunday. But if I decide to do that, I'll give people fair notice about that. Okay. So what I've noticed on social media, well, until I move to fiber, I'm going to have 22 megabits per second up and 480 down, or near half a gig or 550, whatever it is that day. Until I move to fiber, I won't have what you have. Okay. So a couple people on amateur radio said they were going to drop in today and say hello, but people get busy and people forget. So, that's one thing I've learned is don't count on other people that much. A lot of people say things, but they don't get around to doing it. Okay. So the other thing that I've noticed is a huge increase on all social media platforms of scammers from African nations, Russia, and former Russian states, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Kazakhstan is a big one, the Ukraine, and Uzbekistan. Just a huge increase in some of these people are coming into Discord, especially from African countries, South Africa and Nigeria, and a big popular one is Ghana. So you really have to watch yourself on these social media platforms. Now, I have an extremely low profile on Facebook. I only have like 10 friends because I have deleted my Facebook account numerous times. Okay. And I spend very little time on Facebook. The only reason I'm on Facebook is for Facebook Marketplace to sell used electronics and music equipment. Okay. I'm not on there to connect with people or do anything else. And there's a Kingsport group in there too. Okay, right. Well, so you have a family. I don't. That's important to remember there, Marks. I don't have family. So back to the scamming. Oh man, that's a ton. And I have a friend who has like 21 grandchildren, although I joke with that number. He doesn't have 21, but I joke with him. I think he has, let's see, I think 12 or 14, but I joke with him. when I call them and said, well, how are you and your 21 grandchildren doing this? I said, I know you don't have time to call me. Hey, we had somebody else drop in. Come on, introduce yourself, put your name in the chat window here, and let's get this show on the road. We're going to talk today about Linux questions and answers. We can talk about computers. We can talk about music production. We can talk about video work, films, movies. We can talk about anything but religion and politics. There's plenty of other people to talk about that. Okay, and we had another person drop on in. Come on in, introduce yourself here in the chat, and put your question out there or your comment. Let's get things rolling. Don't be shy. This is a judgment-free zone. Any question, no matter how small or how big, and if we can't answer your question live here today, we'll have an answer next week. How about that guarantee? I guarantee it. Okay. So anyway, back to the scammers coming into social media platforms. They've been on Facebook for a long time, but the reason they don't hit on me is because my Facebook profile is so low. It's like I'm just a little dimple in, a little bubble in the road. But because I am more prevalent on some other sites, some of which are not family friendly to mention here in chat. Hey, I see we have quite a few people who dropped in. Come on in, introduce yourself, put your name here in the chat window, and we can talk about Linux here, give you some answers, and feel free to ask questions. Or people come and go on this monitor. It'll be like, people seem to leave in pairs. It'll be like 5 and then jump down to 3. And I never really know whether that's a real number or some bogus number. But back to the scamming going on is, like I said, it's really picked up on Discord. I got somebody who chatted with me for a day and a half, and then they finally popped a scamming question. And I just hit the block button. I just couldn't believe it. They strung me along for almost 2 days on thinking that we were going to be friends over audio video work. And they portrayed themselves as a do-gooder Christian and all this stuff, and want to be a nice person and blah, blah, blah. But then the scam revealed itself. And they were from an African country, and that's usually how it is. These people come in and they offered to sell you artwork. They offer to promote your YouTube channel and do all of these other marvelous, wonderful things. And it's a scam every time. So I see we had another couple people join. We're talking about internet scams here. Well, somebody just left. We just want to give people good information, helpful information about what's going on out there. But man, these people are all over Discord, especially in the YouTube creator channels and things like that, in music production channels. Well, that's quite a number there, Marks. Yeah, I don't want to get too personal here on the live stream, but I have one living relative. That's how tiny my family is. And for the people who dropped in, they wonder, why am I wearing my college graduation gown? Well, because today is cap and gown day. That's why. And you know what? I earned this. I earned the right to wear it. And I've had this gown with me for a very long time. And I said, you know what? I said, today's going to be cap and gown day on the YouTube live. Other people on their lives, they show off things and relics and things like that. So why not me? Heck, I should have gotten out my graduation pictures. Hey, that'll be for next week. I'll show my graduation pictures next week. Okay. Well, some people come from really fertile families, really busy. My parents always claimed they came from that they were only children. But we found out after they were both deceased, going through papers, that we actually had some other relatives in California. Well, hello there. Welcome. It's afternoon here in America. Where are you from? I think you were here last week. Okay. Well, that's great. And hello there, Brent. You're new. I know you're new. Brent, good to have you with us today. And thank you for joining. Well, why don't we start off? The YouTube algorithm favors me. It does. I never would have guessed. It seems like because I'm not monetized, I get discriminated against. Okay, so Brent has a question here. I just figured out how to enable Plymouth and Debian. Are there any other features like this that I should look for that might be enabled by default, or you mean disabled by default? Oh, well, everybody likes a splash screen. You should see my collection of desktop backgrounds. Oh, I have over 100 images, and I play them as a slideshow. Well, Brent, to answer your question, so your question is, are there any other features like this that I should look for that might be, you mean disabled by default and you want to turn them on? Also, what desktop are you in? Are you in Cinnamon or GNOME, or what desktop are you using? Plasma? So, Andres, what's going on today in Hungary? Give us an update there. Yeah, so Brent, I'd like to know more about your question so I can give you a more accurate answer. Hey, I see we have 7 watchers out there. Okay. It's default, but it needed to be installed. Right. Okay. Well, see, Debian is extremely conservative. And also, it doesn't have all the enhancements for beauty and looks that. See, that's what the thing about Linux Mint is. Linux Mint does all the work for you. It sits on top of Ubuntu, and it's all the things are set to make it look really pretty. And the same thing with KDE. If you use Plasma, that sits on like Kubuntu. Okay. What other settings? Well, that's a good question. I may have to give you an answer next week on that. So we have a promise here that if we can't answer your question in real time, that we'll have an answer for you next week. Yeah, what do you think about that, Marks? Any ideas on that one? Marks is our co-host here today. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on him. Okay. Okay, so your question there, I am planning a transition right to your new home server with ProBox nowadays. Are you hosting some services for yourself. Well, what I'm doing here is I'm just doing simple file sharing, okay, until I get a NAS in here, and network attached storage, coming early next year. And the reason for that is that I do video editing, and I need to move some of the scratch files off of the local computer and move those onto network attached storage. I'm thinking about running a pair of 24 gigabyte hard drives in possibly RAID 5, but I haven't decided exactly what RAID level it's going to be yet. But it will be at least a pair of 24 gigabyte hard drives on a network attached storage. And the truth is, I haven't decided. It's going to be a Linux based operating system, but right now I'm just doing the simple file sharing from this computer to the other ones. Hey, hello there. The person who said, yo, how do you want me to pronounce your name? Can you just type it in there? Yeah, that's great to have. You're new. I know you're new. Great to have you with us today. Okay, so you want me to pronounce your name Manam. And you know, I'm pathetic. I'll forget next week, and you have to remind me how to do it. I'm just real bad with names. It was good to have you with us. If you have a question or comment, go ahead and put it out there. Any specifics on the hardware? It's going to be a single board computer is what it's going to be. And I've already got my eyes on one on eBay for like $59. It'll have 8 gigabytes of RAM. It'll have a AMD Alpha 8 7600 processor. It'll be a single board computer that can run 24/7 with a SATA interface and a power supply and a little bitty box. The big thing is it's going to need the big issue, it's going to need a UPS on it, because you've got to have a UPS on a network attached storage. That's probably going to cost more. Okay, the network attached storage is going to cost more than the power supply, the single board computer, the chassis. Okay, of course, the pair of hard drives, that'll be expensive, but that UPS is going to cost a couple $100, because you cannot have the power drop on your. See, I have a UPS for the router, okay, and I've got a UPS for this workstation here, in case the power goes out while I'm editing a video, and in case the power goes out, I won't lose the network connection on the LAN. The possibility is to share that UPS that's protecting the workstation and the music station in there, maybe share that with the network attached storage. Although that's kind of dicey putting 3 devices on one UPS. But that's the plan, and the plan is to have this early next year up and running. Because I have 4 computers on the LAN here. There's 4. And this one is used for video editing, and it generates a tremendous amount of files. Okay, well, we had 7 folks in here. Okay, so Brent said, I think I'm transitioning out of my Tadpole user. I've tried several distros in VM, but I really like Debian. Okay. Debian's a great distro. So the other question is, what distro am I going to run on the network attached storage? The truth is, I haven't made up my mind yet. Whether I'm going to run something called TrueNAS, I haven't decided yet. But the hardware should be fairly capable to run any software I choose. I mean, as a matter of fact, the hardware I'm choosing for my network attached storage far exceeds what if you go buy one. If you go buy one off Amazon. Okay, well, we had a couple of people drop out. So Manam, are you still here with us? It's hard to tell when people drop out because it never tells me that people have left. Well, let's keep the questions going. We're doing great. Yeah, Andres, if you're still here, I did give you an answer there about the operating system I might be using. But here I'm just doing simple file sharing. Looks like we got a question. Okay. There we go. I just put that in the Internet Relay chat channel. Right. Yeah, as a matter of fact, if I can find it here on eBay, I can show you what I'm going to buy. Because nobody's going to be interested in this. Okay. Because you can't run Windows on it. And let's see if it's still on my watch list, if anybody's bought it. Let's see here. Well, let's see. AMD. Yeah, there was one located. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, I'm going to get a single board computer like this. I'm going to show it here. I'm going to do some screen share and be patient with me. Okay. Because all I need to do is just plug in a power supply and the drive. So, and that's how I like to do it. Yeah, something like this. I'm going to blow it up on the screen. It already has the memory in the CPU. All I need to do is plug in the power and the drives and load the software. Okay, and if you look there, it's got an HDMI port. There you go. And that's a tiny little board. I don't even have to have a full-size chassis to put that in. Okay, and that's $40 United States dollars. How about that? And that's what we do here in this chat, is we share information and we learn from each other. Yeah, and that has built-in graphics and everything. I don't need a graphics card. The graphics are on the chip. It's roll and go. That's going to be the easiest computer build I've ever had. is building that network attached storage device. But I can get by with storing the large video files on the local computers for probably another 6 months, and then I need to start moving them out to a network attached storage. There's just no getting around that. The idea is to do the editing on the local drives, the local NVMEs, which are extremely fast. By the way, I have the fastest you can get for video editing. But then when you're done with the edits and you want to move your final work over and all the scratch files that you download from the cameras, I want all that on the network attached storage. Plus, it'll be in some RAID configuration in case one of the drives fails. But what I won't be doing is editing the files remotely across the network. Because what if your network goes down or something, or you have a packet that gets lost in your network? I've seen that destroy, MP3 files have to be contiguous, and they have to, and boy, if you have a dropout, it sounds ugly, especially if the header of your MP3 file gets corrupted when you're transmitting it across the network. You have like a packet collision or something, your MP3 is hosed. So imagine that on a video file. Well, it only looks big there, Marks, because I blew it up on the screen. Let me show it again. It's not that big. Okay. Let's see here. It's big, but when you look at the heat sink on the CPU, that's the biggest part. Here's some other pictures of it. But see, I want a large CPU heat sink with a slow moving fan so it doesn't generate a lot of racket. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, it's not that big. It's not that big. Can you imagine $40 for all that? $39.95. And that's how we can help each other here on this YouTube Live. We can show things like this. We can talk about things and guide each other toward deals. And if anybody here is interested in buying a Hewlett-Packard computer, I can get you a deal, because I used to work for Hewlett-Packard and I know how to get deals. Okay. But I'll tell you, HP can't even beat that deal for $40. All right. And for those who just joined and wonder what the gown thing is about, today is cap and gown day, and I decided to wear my college graduation gown for my alma mater. And why not? Okay, we had some other people join. Come on in and put your question here. Introduce yourself and put your question in the chat window. And let's get some other issues addressed here. Yeah. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll put that ITX board in an ATX case, and then I'll have extra cooling for the hard drives. I'll just have a giant, one large fan just to gently, see, the larger the fan is, the quieter it is. I'll have one large fan to gently pull air past those two SATA drives, and I'll probably custom mount those myself. I'll take that cabinet and I'll drill some holes in it and mount those two drives side by side, but they'll be distant between them for cooling. Okay, the question is, we had a newcomer. I know you're new. Great to have you join us. Any experience running OBS on Gen 2 Linux? And I'm going to be honest, I have no experience. I have never even installed Gen 2 or Gen 2 Linux, however it's pronounced. Whether it's a soft or hard G, I'm not sure on that one. So I really couldn't help you. Mark's our co-host. Do you have any experience doing that? And I'll tell you, if we cannot get you an answer here live right now, we'll have an answer next week. That's our promise. I'm going to have to go back through here and listen to this whole thing to find the unanswered questions. I don't mind doing that. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that into the notepad here since we didn't have an answer. Okay. You know, the OBS was brought up here. OBS is a fantastic tool, and I wish I had used it before when I was chatting, doing video chats on Instagram. I wish I had used it to capture those chats. But that's one of the things you can do with OBS. Anything you see on your screen, OBS can capture. And see, like, it would have been a great tool to capture Instagram video chats, to catch the lying. Yeah, to catch the lies. Yeah. So I'll bring this topic up again, and some other people in the chat might want to add to it. We were talking earlier about scammers coming into Discord from Africa, Russia, and former Russian states, Azerbaijan, I guess, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Ukraine, and Uzbekistan. That watch yourself on Discord, because these scammers are coming into Discord. Yeah, you know, for a long time they were present on Facebook, but a lot of them have left because they've scammed everybody they can scam on Facebook. And they're moving into Discord now, especially on some of the groups that are concerned with YouTube and live streaming and things like that. They've come into some of those servers. Okay, so I see we have 6 concurrent viewers. If there's anybody new. Okay, the short of it here. Let's continue on with King. Okay, so to answer your question, I really couldn't help you right now with that answer. But if you need an answer today, I would do a complex web search with the questions of flags to pass building OBS on Gen 2. What I've discovered about Linux is that there's an answer out there for almost every question that you have. The problem is getting an answer. And you have to just keep rephrasing your question until the right answer comes up. Okay. OBS is a fantastic tool. I have it loaded on this system here. I don't use it for YouTube. I can, but I use it for other things. Like if I want to pre-record a video myself, I always use OBS. OBS gives you the best, most clear picture. And we discussed that earlier about the 2 best video chat platforms are Discord and Instagram. Yeah. So do we have any other questions out there? Any more introductions? Come on in. And back to that question about the network attached storage, I may just load Debian on it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. And because there's no hurry to do it, I may just try different operating systems and different network attached storage. There are like 5 or 6 different Linux distributions out there just for network attached storage. So come on in. Don't be intimidated by the gown. Today is cap and gown day, where I'm wearing the my gown from college graduation. After all, I earned it. I earned the right to wear it. So today I'm going to do just that. Yeah. So what other questions do you have there, King? And tell us a little about yourself. Where'd you find out about the program? Because I know I made a post in Discord here about an hour ago. How'd you find out about it? So, Marks, if you're in the market for a brand new laptop, I can get you a deal. That offer is good for anybody who comes in here. Anybody who comes in here, if you want to buy a brand new Hewlett-Packard computer, I can help get you a deal. And like I said, that offer is good for people who come into the channel. Desktops, fancy keyboards, laptops, anything HP. HyperX, can get you a deal. Well, that's great. So the algorithm is working even for a small streamer. I have a YouTube channel, and I encourage people to stop by. You know, what was interesting is I posted a video about a attachment issue here Tuesday morning, and somehow I guess a subscriber didn't like it and they left. I lost a subscriber over that. But you know, I had been itching to post that for several weeks. I had it unlisted and I decided to show it to the world. And it cost me a subscriber. What is a poor streamer to do? Yeah. Okay, well, I've been a Linux user for 9 years. I started using it in 2016. Okay. So where are you located there, King Milo? I'm located here in northeastern Tennessee. Our co-host is located in Appalachia or Appalachia. Okay. But it's up to him to reveal what state he's in. I'm not going to dox anybody here. I reserve that for my enemies. Okay. Okay, South Africa. Well, welcome. So it's at what time is it there? Okay, while we're getting the time from South Africa, I'll show you all a little tool that I use. Okay, because I'm going to go ahead and show you my desktop real quick. Okay, the entire screen. All right. So I have a little tool because I chat with people around the world, and I truly do mean that. It's easy to lose track of time. And so I have this clock here on the desktop that tells me where people are in the major time zones. And while we're talking about looks and everything, I have a lot of beautiful desktops. See, today's not a particularly bright and sunny day, so I have pastel. I change these like dark is for nighttime, vibrant, and because of the way desktop sharing works, I can't go to these other windows here. I have to close out and then move the tab, but I wasn't kidding when I said I have hundreds of these desktop backgrounds for every occasion. Okay. All right. And of course, here's Linux Mint and Discord. And I tell people you can get past all the graphics and the constant animations and things that are posted. It's a great resource. And you can see here all the support and chat rooms there are. Okay. And there's one for System 76. That's my new desktop love is System 76 Cosmic. And I'm running Cosmic in the other room. Okay. Yeah, it's a thing of beauty. It sure is. Okay. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. Oh, and of course, Visual Studio. I've always got it open, working on something, some kind of bash scripting of some kind. It's always got that going. Okay. So a little bit. Well, yeah, I'm in Appalachia. I'm in Eastern Tennessee. I'm in a small, unincorporated community just outside the city limits of a small city of 57,000 people called Kingsport, Tennessee. And I love it here. I love the weather. It's currently 50 degrees. And I don't have the heat on in the house. Okay. So to answer a question, okay, about the desktop. So what I did when I first started Linux, I'll never forget the day. It was April the 14th, 2016. April the 14th, 2016, because I needed to get my taxes together. Okay. And I needed to reload Windows 7 on the desktop. And it wasn't working. Okay. So I decided to install Linux. Let me put it this way. I did a lot of distro hopping my first few months. I still distro hop in the other room. This is the production computer. Okay. This runs 24 hours a day. The other ones, they all go to sleep after 30 minutes. So I tried all these different distros, and then I landed on Linux Mint. And the thing is, I've been on Linux Mint ever since then. I still distro hop. But the thing I like about Linux Mint is everything is proportional. Everything is rational. There's no crazy stuff in Linux Mint. It's sensible. It just has a sensible layout. Now, I use a customized version of Linux Mint for my desktop. In case you haven't noticed, mine looks a little bit different than most people's. Well, that's because I have customized it. It's what I call the workstation edition because it gives me maximum screen real estate because I do video editing and things like that, and I need everything else out of the way, folks. And that's what this does. It's Mint X, but I have a custom version for Mint X. I also have a custom version for Mint Y, and then I have a custom version for this desktop changes that I wrote. It's called Dusk. It's called D-U-S-K. Oops, I got the wrong window here. It did it again to me. Why is that happening? Okay. Yeah, so I've got Mint X, Mint Y, and then dusk for when I don't want everything to be really dark, but I don't want everything to be bright. Mint X either. It's called dusk, and I did that myself. Yeah. So how about that? Okay, I see we have some other concurrent viewers. Come on in, introduce yourself. Let's get this chat rolling. So yeah, I did a lot of distro hopping in the beginning there. Somebody asked me what distro I'd use. Yeah, how was your distro hop journey? And have you started and stayed on Mint? Yes, I spent a lot of time on my favorite website was Distro Watch. And if we have any new people in here, we'd love to help you with your Linux journey. So if you're new, don't be shy, don't be afraid. This is a judgment-free zone. We can answer your questions here about getting started with Linux. So I do all my video editing, even though nobody asked me, called Shotcut. And what I do is I download the latest app image and I just change the name of it and I copy it over in, matter of fact, I have a script that does that automatically for me. It takes the app image, it renames it, it gives it the right permissions, and it copies it over. And see, I'm looking here. Yeah, it copies it over to OPT shotcut. Well, it actually copies it over to OPT and then a directory shotcut. Yeah. Yeah, so I take that app image. And there we go. And I make that directory and then I rename the app image Shotcut. And I have a desktop for it as well, a custom desktop start. Let's see here. Yeah, I have a custom start menu item, desktop item that's pre-made. That'll go in the Linux Mint Cinnamon desktop, start menu. Yeah. Okay. That's right. And that's kind of what this is. This hour, the Linux question and answer is not about me, it's about you all. The questions people ask are what drives this program. And my thought is, if the participation level remains steady, I'll keep doing it. But I also do other things throughout the week. I also produce a weekly hour-long program for a local FM radio station. And that I usually work on that Sunday night and Monday morning. So that takes about a working day out of my week just to do that program, because the thing is that I like to do the voiceover first thing in the morning when my voice is rested, because I have damage to my vocal cords and my voice sounds the best in the morning time after a couple cups of coffee. So I produce that program, and then I'm busy doing other stuff on YouTube and hanging out, doing other stuff. So my thought is, if this program isn't well participated, it's no problem just to fold it, go on and do something else. That's why I don't like to go over 2 hours with this live stream. Actually, I've got a video chat scheduled at 4:30. with somebody in Boston. Okay, well, we've got 6 concurrent watchers out there. Participate. Come on in and introduce yourself. In the chat window, say hello and put your question out there about Linux or video or music. And, you know, we can talk about anything. We can talk about the weather. We can talk about everything but religion and politics. And the reason why we're not going to talk about those. Also, we need to keep it safe for work. But, you know, that's never been a problem here. Everybody who's dropped in has always been courteous. We've never had anybody get ugly or say anything confrontational. I've never had to ban or mute anybody. And that's a good thing. We don't need moderators here and people watching the entry and guards and all that business. So that says a lot about the people who stop by here. Okay, it's getting kind of thin out there with the questions. But, you know, you don't have to ask a question. You can bring up a topic for conversation. You can bring up a topic. Okay. Here's the weather right now in Kingsport. And the temperature is going to drop here in a couple of days, but then it's going to come back up again. All right. Any other questions or comments out there? Put them in that chat window. Let's keep this thing rolling. We know Mark's a local user group might be a good way to get more people interested in using Linux, because the problem is a lot of people are just burned out about the internet. For some people, the thrill is gone. The interacting people over a distance. Maybe people would really enjoy meeting people face to face in a small conference room, bringing their hardware and having somebody actually show them in person how to install Linux, walk through an installation and how to do a dual boot without losing your data, instead of letting people sit there by themselves with bad advice over the internet and wiping out everything on their hard drive, and then discovering when they reboot that not only is their Windows gone, but all the data they had in Windows, their PowerPoints, their spreadsheets, their pictures, their family photos are all completely gone now. Yeah, maybe it's time to do that again. Oh, hello there, new person with the cat, with the little cat PFP. That's a personal profile picture. Okay, we'll get to the fragmentation, your question, in just a second. Okay, Andreas here asked the question, what is your take on Winboat? Okay, for example, if I wanted to run an earlier version of Microsoft Office for whatever reason, say like Outlook, say like I had some email contacts in Outlook I needed to retrieve on that encrypted post office file, okay, outlook.pft, okay, and I needed to run Outlook just to get some old emails off of there. Okay, we're going to show the desktop again because this is the most effective way. Okay, sorry about that. That happens. I'm going to show you how I would do it, and I think it's the best way. But you know, my way is not always going to work for you. Okay, we're going to go down here. This is so cool because Windows XP is for all practical purposes, is a dead operating system. So I want to play an old game in Windows XP, like Fury 3, or run some software that's been abandoned. There's many others because I've got them all up in here. Okay. All right. Say I want to use Windows Movie Maker for whatever reason, which I don't. I'm a big believer in the virtual machine because if you can run an entire operating system in a VM, certainly you can run an Office program. Yeah. Now, I have not tried Winboat myself personally. A disclaimer on that. Okay. But I've had so much success running games that require odd versions of DirectX. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the other question is, what's your take on the fragmentation of Linux? Should we be more unified or continue the extreme fragmentation? Well, I don't look at it as fragmentation. I look at it as choice. And that's the thing about Linux. And hopefully soon, this new desktop called Cosmic is going to bring these two giant forces that have held users hostage. One of them is called GNOME, and the other one is called Plasma. And so there's been these two giant heavyweights in the ring. All right. And they've kind of dominated the desktop, and that's helped cause a lot of this fragmentation because people didn't like GNOME. So they developed Budgie, and people didn't like GNOME. So they developed Cinnamon. And that's the thing, is that because of the intense dislike of GNOME, you've got all these desktops that came out of it. They forked it and then changed it. Okay. And some people don't like the Qt development environment. So then these people at System 76, they had a disagreement with the developers of GNOME. So they said, well, we're going to develop our own desktop from scratch. That's what's going on. I think that's going to actually help unify the Linux desktop, because the problem is the best looking desktop out there for Linux is, here's the good news is it's the most beautiful desktop out there for Linux. The bad news is it's made in China. Because China has a lot of computer science students. They wrote the big fight in Linux right now between X11 and Wayland. They wrote their own compositor. Okay, they just said, well, we're going to let you all can fight over X11. We're going to write our own desktop compositor. And they did. Okay, so it's called, and it's so easy to use, and it's an immutable base, which makes it hard for new users to screw up the operating system. Okay, because it's got the data over here and the operating system over here where the user can't access it. And it has like 6 different desktops you can choose from. So you can make it look like the Mac OS. You can make it look like 2 or 3 different kinds of Windows. and you can make it look like plasma just with a couple mouse clicks. And if you're doing a dual boot, you can change things inside the operating system. It's got a special menu, so easy. Even a cat could probably use it to change the boot options if you're sharing your hard drive with another operating system. The only problem with Deepin, Deepin is compelling, and that's what I've told people. If you want to get people off Windows, you got to have something that shines. You got to bring out your best. Okay. You have to bring out your best. You have to have something that's compelling. And, you know, people say, oh, looks don't matter. But let me tell you, looks do matter. And if you go to a coffee shop with Deepin and with your laptop and somebody looks and sees that, they're going to say, what is that? I've never seen that before. And that's what Linux really needs, is something that has a lot of Windows compatibility built in, okay, where users don't have to sit here and install Winboat, bottles, Wine, and then of course Wine has a front end that you must have called Play on Linux. That's a beautiful front end configurator for Wine, okay. As a matter of fact, Deepin suggests when you first install it, they suggest that you set up a virtual machine. Okay. Well, thank you for joining, even though it's late. You know, the saying here is better late than never. It's great to have you with us today. Okay. Yeah, DX12. You know, if you were on DX10 or 11, that would be one thing. Yeah. NVIDIA right now is really snarled on the Linux desktop because they're not only having problems with a DX12, but they're also having problems with Wayland. Every time Wayland upstream makes a change, if NVIDIA doesn't release an updated video driver, then there's problems. It's a real problem with NVIDIA right now. Hey, I see we have 11 folks out there. Come on in. Hey, you're there? Great. It's great. It's going super duper fantastic. So you probably wonder what the gown is about today. Well, today is cap and gown day. I'm wearing my college graduation gown. I've had it all these years. I've taken it everywhere I've ever lived, and I've never worn it. I said, well, today I'm going to wear it here on the show. Let me, somebody said there, Andres, we're going to go ahead and go in and take a look at Deepin real quick. I want you all to see. I know I showed it last time. I wanted to show you all how beautiful it looks. Bear with me. Okay. Okay, we're going to go here to Distro Watch homepage. Can you believe that? There are more, actually. If you click on more statistics, there are like 250 distros for Linux. 250, folks. There it is, Deepin. Down at number 58. Let's take a look at that desktop. Yeah, it's in English, though. This is just a Chinese screen print. Yeah. And it's so easy to modify. See, you just click on there on the little cogwheel, and you can change the start menu. You can have it over here. You can have it in the middle. You can make it like a Mac. You can make it however you want to. That's deep in. And they have a bunch of built-in themes. Forget this thing with Zorin where you have to pay to get extra themes unlocked. This has some beautiful themes. Okay. So there's deep in. Okay. Well, how's everybody else doing today? Well, it's going good here, Enio. It's going pretty good. We've got some cool weather here finally. Time to bring out those blankets. I love blanket. Well, I sleep so much better in cold weather. Gosh, I can't believe we have 10 concurrent viewers out there. Come on in. Introduce yourself here in the chat. Ask a question or just tell us something about yourself. We're here to learn from each other. That's okay. It doesn't matter that you're late. You made it. Let's see, we've been here an hour and 11 minutes. Usually I like to keep it to an hour and 30. So you have 20 quality minutes. And if you feel like you missed anything, you can watch it on the replay. So here's the temperature here right now. It's not cold. People say that 50 is cold. It's cool. I don't consider it to be cold until it's down into the 30s, which in Celsius, that would be near 0. Maybe 5 to 6. Well, half that, so be 5 Celsius. I don't consider anything above 5 Celsius to be cold. That's cool. I grew up in a brutally hot environment. You felt like you were living in a Dutch oven down there in Texas. The heat is just brutal. And now with all the global warming and the climate change, 100-degree day in Texas, that's nothing. How about 105, 106, 107? Yeah. The thing is, it's almost like Phoenix, but the problem is the humidity is so bad. All right, folks, it's great to have you all here. Let's bring up some topics for discussion. It's your show. I'm just a facilitator. And Marks is our very generous co-host that Marks is donating his time to co-host here with us today. Say hello there, Marks. Everybody knows who you are. Maybe he had to step away. There he is. Okay. You're donating your time. Yeah. You know, you can change your YouTube name. I've changed mine recently. Could you please talk about making something as a systemd service? Yes, I sure can. You came to the right place. All right. Because what I do is on the remote desktop, I need to start I need to start this service on systemd. Linux Mint, they're crappies. There's no contest. Okay. So what that does, it copies it over from the media path and the DV means the distro version, and that custom X11 BNC service. I need that thing to start every time the computer gets turned on so that you can log in remotely. Okay, so I'm going to show you that file. All right. Well, first let's look at the script. So hang on, folks. We're going to do some more desktop sharing here. Okay, it might get dizzy, it might not. Okay. So see here, for certain computers, if the computer name, if it's any one of those three computers, we need to install that. Okay, and to make sure it gets started every time, we copy it over to that directory. Okay, which I copied and pasted. And then we give it those permissions. All right, so we copied and pasted just like I did in the chat window. Then so that this can be made available immediately, so that I can continue to watch the rest of this install from another computer, we reload the daemon, and then we enable this. See, that asks system control to reload the daemons that are out there. That's what that command does. Then we enable it, which means it'll be turned on every time the computer gets turned on, and then we say start it. And then to make sure that it succeeds, we get some output that's outputted to a file to give us the status of that new service to make sure that it took. Okay, so I'm going to show you that file. And here it is. I can send it to you if you'd like. It's very simple. You have a unit and service and install. Yeah, restart always means if for whatever reason it crashes, it will restart. And like I said, I can share that file with you, but that's how it works. So what I'm doing, I'm showing you how it's set up on the computer in the first place. I'm showing you the file, showing you the commands to get it going. So you don't have to reboot your computer or restart system control. You ask system control to reload the daemons and then enable this specific one, start and enable it, and then start it. If you don't do those steps, it won't work. It won't work right. Okay. I hope I've answered your questions. Let me go ahead and close this. Okay. Did that help any? Right. Then you're able to start, stop, enable. Right. And let me show you some other ones that I disable. You brought up an extremely good question. And for other people who might be watching, this might be helpful. It might be adjusted time. Okay. Let's take a look here. For example, on some of my computers, Bluetooth doesn't exist. So we want to turn that off. Okay. We want to turn that Bluetooth service off. Yeah, see here, we don't want the firmware update refresh timer running. So here we stop it, and stopping is a graceful shutdown, and then we disable it so we'll never see it again. So there's stop and start, disable, enable. Okay. Another one, we don't want to see the Casper. That's a bug that they've never fixed. The bug is back again. Okay. We don't want this process to be running. So we stop it and disable it. Same thing here with this issue. We stop and disable the CUPS browser service. That's for printers. And then there's some other ones here where we're going to turn off the Bluetooth. I want to show that one too. Yeah, here it is. We're going to stop that Bluetooth service and we're going to shut that puppy off, because the problem is that if we don't want to see errors generated in the log, because I log everything. Okay, and this, so you can see here, I literally log everything that happens. So we don't want to see a bunch of errors in the logs here. These are from boot logs. Okay. We don't want to see Bluetooth. We don't want to see these things. I want to see clean. I want it to be clean. I'll give you an example. When I type in dmessage here, if I can type, my finger coordination skills are the absolute worst. How I ever made it in computing, I'll never know. D message. Darn it, I did it again. Okay. You see how clean that is? There's no red messages, no weird stuffies. There's no red in there. That's how I like to roll. This system is about as pure and clean and fault-free as it gets. Okay. And I avoid a lot of those errors by shutting off these system D demons that we're never going to use. So how about that as a demo? What do you think of that? Yeah, just turn them off. It's your computer, your way. And that's the beauty of Linux. Okay, we've got a few other people out there who joined. Come on in, introduce yourself. You probably wonder, what is that guy doing? What is he doing? Getting dizzy looking at that code that's flashing by. But here it's all about show and tell. It's about having a good time. Okay. So Crapples, the person out there with the C, how are you doing today? Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you find out about this stream? What brought you here? I'm going to take a little drink here while we're waiting. Oh, wow, Python 39, not Python 3 or 30. Okay, well, you're talking about an Arch-based system. If I'm correct, if I'm interpreting that right, because DNF is used in Arch-based systems. That's right. Well, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. You know, I used to work with that at Hewlett Packard, but my gosh, it's been such a long time. So you're going to be sudo, you're going to enable that that version of Python. But before you do it, you need to make sure that you don't have other modules out there with conflicting. What are modules in a package manager? Well, modules in a package manager are like, they're called modules, but in Debian, they're called packages. They're the same thing. Okay, well, welcome there, Martin Fletcher. How are you doing today? It's great to have you with us here as a newcomer. So Martin, are you using Linux, and what desktop do you operate on? And just a reminder, it's cap and gown day, and I'm wearing my college graduation gown that I've had sitting in a closet for the longest time, and I figured that today would be a good day to wear it. And I've earned the right to wear it too. So there's a little pride involved there, just something different. Oh, well, good for you. Wow. Remember the old days where you had to compile everything yourself? Oh my God, that's a while. Man, in 1997, I was traveling in Europe like some kind of a playboy. In 97. Yeah, I've been to Europe like 3 times. I've spent long periods of time in Europe. Oh, wow. Yeah, boy, that brings back the days. I remember when Fox Pro came on, like 29 of those 3.5-inch hard, the hard floppy disks. Remember OS2? Man, OS2 came with a huge stack of those disks, and if you had one bad disk, you were screwed. You couldn't finish. Remember all the 3.5 inches discs that OS2 came on. Well, hello there, Fasuda Mini. I've gone back to a PC that just assembled from a Mac Mini M2. I got to say, it bothers me how much power efficient the Macs are. Oh, there is. You have to build it yourself if you want it. And I was just showing everybody a single board computer that I was going to use for an attached network storage. I just showed everybody that earlier. Oh yeah, you were stuck. You couldn't re-download anything on OS2 if you had one bad disk, a bad read. Well, that floppy drive would just sit there and go, and just go back and forth trying to reread those sectors until after like 10 times it would give up and say read failure or some message like that. Here I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Here I want to build a network attached storage. So I'm looking at this little single board computer. It has plenty of horsepower on it. I'm gonna put it in a little cabinet with a couple drives. Yeah, there it is. The A8 7600, and it's got built-in graphics and everything. There's a whole cottage industry around energy efficient small computers. It can be done, to answer your question there, for pseudo dynamity, I believe. Well, you're not going to find the exact same hardware for PCs, but you can get it kind of close. As a matter of fact, HP made them. And you can find these used on eBay HP Mini Z workstation. Yeah, this thing is here. Okay, let me share this real quickly. I'm going to share this. This thing is no bigger than the power brick. Yeah, HP had a movement to build these tiny workstations, and you could actually do CAD work and everything on them. They're very small. Like I said, you look at that power brick, they're very tiny. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that one's bad. But you can find them. And, you know, if you have enough technical knowledge, you can actually upgrade them. Let's take a look. Yeah, here's another one. Yeah, so Hewlett-Packard had this movement to kind of do the same thing that Apple was doing with these small but powerful computers that were energy efficient. Yeah, well, like I said, I can get a single board computer off eBay to run my network attached storage for $40, and then put it in a small ATX case, get a fan, a big fan to pull that air past those two 24 terabyte hard drives. Well, actually, Apple's using their own chip, the M chip, and Microsoft is moving toward the ARM chip. They've got it in a bunch of new laptops now. The problem is, to get the software to run optimally, you have to recompile for the ARM processor. And some software developers are not going to be doing that. So you're going to have a performance penalty. But see, that's the thing about Apple, is they enforce the rules across the board. So when they have a new hardware level that comes out, everybody has to comply, or you just don't get to play in the Apple sphere. Well, you know, the whole thing that people don't realize, and this is something we can talk about, people don't understand about the Intel platform. The Intel platform, the Intel chips were originally adopted by hobbyist computer people. Okay? The Intel chip, the original Intel chip, was never designed with security in mind. When you had the first PCs, you never had passwords. You just turned it on and you loaded the operating system on one floppy, and you put the program in on another floppy, and you never had a password in sight. And the thing is that the processing power has increased, but the security hasn't. It's really up to the software now to enforce the security. And now it's been discovered there's been a backdoor in these Intel chips for 20 years. Well, didn't Mr. Snowden, didn't he do massive dumps about there's backdoors on your smart TVs, there's backdoors on almost anything that uses a computer chip. So you can't just say, well, it's Intel's fault. Well, the thing is, when Intel developed their first chips, they never expected computers to be where they are today, that we would be using them for banking, that we'd be using them for private social reasons, and all these other things. So security was never a concern in the beginning of personal computing. And that's why we have all these issues that keep cropping up. Every month they find a new exploit. Well, the only way to solve this problem is to just start everything all over again. Okay, with security in mind. And the industry is just not going to do that. That's what that's all about. And you know, pretty much anything that goes over the internet can be intercepted. That's just a fact. Packet sniffers, packet diverters, packet readers. You know, that's what this end-to-end encryption is. But then they discovered on some of this end-to-end encryption that the government had keys and it was passing through in plain text and then being re-encrypted on the way out. You know, I think if you read about the Snowden, I forget his first name because you all know I'm bad at names, but just do a search on the internet for Snowden dump. Okay. And then there were some other people who did some dumps about tools the CIA and the government had. Edward, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. There were some, after Edward Snowden did his dump about the level of observation that the Five Eyes were conducting around the world in the premise of post 9/11 security, some other people released all these toolkits the CIA had. Well, basically anything that had a computer chip in it, they could listen to you. It could listen, you know, if it was a smart clock, they could listen to you having sex in the bedroom. I mean, it was crazy, the list of appliances and devices that the CIA could monitor you with. And it's not really anything to laugh about. It's just the way things are in our society now. We live in the, whether we like it or not, we live in an information society, but we also live in a surveillance society. And see, that's what I don't understand about people who commit these crimes, because there are so many cameras. There's Ring cameras, there's cameras and cameras everywhere. Nowadays, when somebody commits a crime, they usually catch them within 24 hours because all they do is they go up and down the street and ask somebody for their Ring camera. We truly do live in this surveillance society. And that's why I say, man, I said, committing a crime these days is a no-win proposition. You're going to get caught almost immediately. Okay, so now that we've talked about security and surveillance, any other topics? And by the way, I worked at Hewlett-Packard and I worked on some secret projects that I'm not at liberty to discuss. All this post 9/11 stuff going on. The government has always wanted to keep an eye on you, and 9/11 was the perfect excuse to unleash the demons of surveillance. Okay. I mean, nowadays, see what people don't realize about these red light cameras? They're always on. So every car that goes through a red light intersection, they see your license plate, whether you're running the red light or not. Those cameras are always rolling. A lot of people don't realize that. Even if you're not running the red light, they're still watching you. See, those are the kind of things we can talk about here that you never hear anybody in the media talk about. Yeah. So tell your friends, bring some friends along next week. Let's grow this thing so we can possibly buy some additional hardware and bring some co-hosts in here on the screen and everything. And and turn it into a real exciting hour. Okay, first, I don't know what the term Black Mirror means. Maybe you could help us on that. I'm only wearing this black today because this is my college graduation gown, and today's cap and gown day. Yeah. You mean maybe black humor? It's maybe what you meant. Personal interest in black humor. Well, Martin, tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days. And if it's okay, maybe you all can tell whether you're in school, what you do for a living. Oh, okay. Well, the surveillance state is here. And, you know, I was watching Zero Dark 40 here last night. And the technology has improved so much from when that movie, the time period was 2009. The technology, the surveillance technology has improved so much since then. It's crazy. I mean, if you're sitting in a restaurant, there's technology to read your lips. There's technology to see what you got in your cup. It's out there, man. That's not some make-believe. It's true. But again, those are the kind of things we can talk about here. We can talk about anything but religion and politics. And I see it's 1:42. So what I'd like to do is to get a wrap up going here. Any last minute questions or comments, please come now, because we need to go ahead and wrap this show up, because I've got a video chat with somebody coming up in 17 minutes. So we need to wrap this show up. Hey, thank you everybody for the great turnout today and the questions. Let's keep it going. Don't let a good thing die. So I see we have 6 concurrent viewers. Okay, thank you very much, Locum. I guess you were just watching and wondering what we were going to do today. Thank you so much. If you like what you saw, give us a like and come on back next week. We'd love to have you. So any more last minute questions or comments before we close the live stream? I just feel so bad when I close the stream when we have like 8 concurrent viewers, like I'm closing the window on somebody's fingers. I like for everybody to gracefully log out, and then I can hit the end stream button. So again, I want to make one last request for any more last minute questions or comments. Did you like what you saw today and like what you heard? Thank you so much to the new people who showed up today. Please subscribe to the channel and you'll get a reminder about the program. I see we have 8 concurrent viewers out there. I don't know if that number is accurate or not. Sometimes I wonder, because it always seems to go down in pairs, whether YouTube is playing with me or whether it's real. Well, everybody have a wonderful day and a good evening wherever you are on this planet. It's real. Okay, thank you there. Loken, just before we go, where are you at? And how'd you find out about this stream? Okay. Well, that's good. Then the YouTube is doing what it should be doing. Great. And where are you at? What part of the world? That is great. Do you have a YouTube channel yourself? So my YouTube channel, you're free to look. Obviously, you're free to take a look at it and subscribe if you want to. I do soundtracks and films, mostly nature films now, about about this area of the country that I live in, to share the beauty of this area. I love filming water. I never knew that before, but now I'm kind of hitched into it. Okay. All right, folks, I need to get ready for the 4:30 video chat with the friend in Boston. I'd again like to thank everybody for participating today and encourage you to come back next week. And everybody, stay safe out there and have a wonderful time doing what you enjoy doing with passion and precision. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Goodbye, everybody.